Hello, this is His Word Unveiled. We are in the book of Deuteronomy. I'm so excited. So last video, man, the Lord just got a hold of my heart. He totally captivated my heart with His Word, and I believe that He just has so much more today. He wants to speak, and this chapter is similar to the last. It's just kind of rolling in, where the Lord is just speaking, hey, I've commanded you. This is what I want you to do. This is what I'm giving you. It's all in preparation of them entering into the promised land and saying, okay, we can't move into blessing unless we're aware of what God's doing, unless we are renewing our minds, rehearsing in our minds what the Lord has done, knowing and believing and trusting that He has delivered, that He's capable of delivering, that He is capable of seeing us through anything, of being our defender, of being, again, our deliverer, of being our victor. And so all this is just reminding and allowing them to reflect, just saying, okay, when this happens, when you go in, this whole excitement of preparation, and it's like He's saying, okay, something's up, like I'm moving, let's do this. So here's what I need you to do. Here's how I need you to be prepared. This is so good. This is all about God just bringing them in and unveiling His heart to them and really saying, this is who I am, and this is how much I love you, and this is how much I want to give to you, and just calling them into, okay, be obedient, follow me and see what I can do. If you obey me, then this land, this is what it's going to look like, and this is what it's going to give to you, and this is how your lives are going to be. So yeah, let's do this. Let's jump in to Deuteronomy 7. Go meet with the Lord. Be so intentional, so purposeful. I know He's going to speak. I feel it. I was so pumped up from last video, and I know He's going to do the same this video. So He just wants to overwhelm us with Himself. So go meet with the Lord. Be ready. Hang on tight, because He's going to take us. He's just saying, let's move. Let's go. Watch where He wants to take us on adventures. So let's go. Let's go with Him. Deuteronomy chapter 7. You read that, meet with the Lord, let Him speak, let Him take you, let Him stir incredible things up in you, and just be overwhelmed. Let Him overwhelm you with His truth, with His heart, just speaking to you. Lord, we thank You for who You are. We thank You for Your word. We thank You for just placing such an excitement within us, and a joy, and just a passion to seek You, to want more and more and more. Lord, we just pray that You meet with us, that You show, that You continue to overwhelm us. You continue to just speak Your truths to us. Help us to obey You, to see You, to hear, so that we know how to follow, how to move. Lord, just move us. Take us, overwhelm us, speak to us today. Lord, I'm so excited for what You have planned. I love You, and I'm ready. We are choosing to see You and hear You. Let's do this together. Just do as You will. Just Your will be done, Lord. We love You. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Trusting that the Lord has something great planned for us today. Okay, chapter 7. Okay, so the Lord just starts off and saying, okay, I'm going to bring you in. I'm getting ready to bring you in. You're going to possess this land. And then He lays out all the nations. He says He wants them to clear away many nations before them. The Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. Then He says 7 nations greater and stronger than you. Guys, we need to embrace our weakness. He says right there, these nations, they're stronger than you. They're more numerous than you. They're greater than you. And He's saying, and I'm going to drive them out. And I'm going to call you to do things that may be uncomfortable in driving them out. Yeah, they're greater and stronger, but I'm going to give them into your hand. And then you have a responsibility, that this is where obedience is going to come in. That I've got this, I've got you, I'm going to carry you through, I'm going to take you into this land. I'm going to set up your opportunities. I'm going to be your victor and be the one fighting for you. But then you need to be in this. You can't just say, okay, you do all the work. He's saying, you guys got to be in this with me. You've got to cling to me. You've got to trust me. You've got to obey when I call you to do things. You've got to trust that it's best for you, that it's to sustain your life. It is to preserve this life and to preserve these blessings. So He says these nations are greater and stronger. And then in verse 2, and when the Lord your God delivers them before you and defeat you, and you defeat them, then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them. So here's this part in saying, okay, here's what I'm asking you to do. That you've got to obey. When I put you in this position, then you've got to listen to me. You've got to take diligent heed to my words. You've got to pay attention. You've got to observe. You've got to hear. You've got to obey. Then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them and show no favor to them. Furthermore, you shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughters to their sons, nor shall you take their daughters for your sons, for they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and he will quickly destroy you. And then he says, you shall tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars. So he is saying there can be no mixing. So he's like, I'm bringing you into this land. I am going to defeat them. I'm going to defeat these nations. I'm going to deliver them into your hands. Then he says, so I'm going to do all this, but then you need to drive them out. You need to not mix with them at all. You can't, when they're defeated, you can't show pity on them. You can't say, okay, I'm going to spare this. I'm going to let you live here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be with you. You can't mix with their women. You can't allow these relationships to happen, these close-knit relationships. He's saying no mixing. I want nothing mixed up. That he is calling them out to be set apart. That he's taking these 7 nations that are greater and stronger than they are, and he is setting them apart, choosing them to take over their land. He's saying, I'm giving you this land. It is your land. It's not theirs. It's not yours together. It's just yours. No mixing. This unadulterated. Remember that word taher that we've been reading about in Leviticus and I think some in Numbers. But this idea of not being mixed, not being blended, set apart. I remember reading this and hearing that God calls us to be set apart. That is holy. Holy means set apart. But understanding just the details of what that means and not mixing. Setting ourselves apart from the rest of the world. Setting ourselves apart from that standard. Setting ourselves apart from what they define as beauty and what they define as life and what they define God as. That we need to be set apart in those things. That's what makes us holy. Not being mixed in, not allowing that to come in and to pollute, even if it's one small area or one small thing or one person or whatever that looks like. That we are to be set apart, not mixed. Not mixed at all. That our hearts, our minds, our souls, our bodies should not be mixed with that of what the world, desires to mix with or is mixing themselves with. That's what set apart is. Set apart in every way. That there be no blending, no meshing, no mixing. Set apart, pure, holy, for and to and in the Lord. So saying, okay, smash down their sacred pillars, get rid of it. It will be a snare to you if you allow even a little bit. Verse 6, for you are a holy people to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for his own possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love on you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any of the peoples, for you were the fewest of all peoples. But because the Lord loved you, and kept the oath which he swore to your forefathers, the Lord brought you out by a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So he doesn't love us because we're set apart. It's not in what we do that we choose to set apart that God says, okay, I love you. What he does is he sets us apart because he loves us. Like, do we get that? He loves us, so he sets us apart. He loves us, so he calls us out of that darkness. He calls us out of that slavery. He loves us, so he calls us into greatness. He loves us, so he calls us into blessing, into life, into this promised land that he offers, that he gives to them, to us. Verse 9, love this, says, know therefore that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps his covenant and his loving kindness to 1,000th generation with those who love him and keep his commandments. So I love this verse. And those of you who've been watching my videos, I mentioned that I have been trying to teach myself Hebrew. And I've been learning one verse out of the Bible, out of each chapter out of each book of the Bible in Hebrew. And this happens to be my one in Deuteronomy. So again, I'm going to read it. Verse 9, know therefore that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps his covenant and loving kindness to 1,000th generation with those who love him and keep his commandments. So that in Hebrew, just that beautiful language. I'll speak that in this, that I've memorized this in Hebrew, and it's so beautiful. So why not speak it? Why not share it with you? So Deuteronomy 7:9 says in Hebrew, Ve'edata ki Adonai Elohecha hu Elohim ha'el ha'ne'eman shomer habirit ve'achesed ulehovav uleshomrei mitzvotav le'elef dor. So good. And I love, I love just speaking that in Hebrew and understanding just, oh my word, I love that. Know therefore that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, the Adonai Elohecha hu ha-Elohim ha-El ha-Ne'aman. Yes, he is God, the faithful God. I love that. He is God. Know therefore that the Lord, your God, so your God, the God that you serve, he is God. He is God over all. He is your God and he is God over all, and he's the faithful God. And he keeps his covenant and his loving kindness to those who love him. So those who receive that love, those who say, okay, I want to obey you. Lord, I trust you. I trust that life with you is so much better, is so worth anything, that he is faithful. He is faithful and he'll keep that covenant. He'll keep his word. That he'll keep that blessing intact surrounding us, that life, that peace, all that covenant, and his loving kindness, his love upon us, his blessing upon us, it will be for real, because he is the faithful God to all those who love him, to all those who keep his commandments, to all those who say, okay, God, yeah, I trust you. I truly believe what you're saying is for real. I truly believe that what you have is better than anything that this world has to offer, that those blessings, that they're for real. That when you say, okay, do this, and it doesn't make sense and it seems scary, I'm trusting that when you say do it, I'm going to do it, because I'm trusting that it's the best, that you are fighting, that you have my best at heart, that you desire, because you love me. I'm believing that you love me, and I'm receiving that love from you by saying, yes, Lord, I'll listen, I'll obey, I'll move into that. Even when I don't really feel like it, even when I don't really want to, even when it scares me to death, I'm going to do it, because I'm saying that I love the Lord, and I'm believing that he loves me. I'm believing that he's a good God. I'm believing that my God, he is God, the faithful God, that will keep his covenant and his loving kindness to me, because I'm saying yes. Because I'm saying yes. He loves me either way. But those blessings will be poured out in my life every time I say yes. Because by those commandments and by what he's speaking to me, all they're saying is, okay, all he is saying when he tells me certain things to do or gives me certain callings, he is saying, okay, do this, and it's going to bring you into blessing. Do this, and if you say yes, you're going to be brought into blessing. That's what that is. That's what obeying the Lord is. He's not just over us saying, okay, do what I say. He's saying, okay, I desire for you to do this because it's going to be the best thing for you. You're going to experience beautiful things in life, powerful things in life. When we say yes, Lord, it's on. It's on, and there's no stopping. There's no stopping the power of God in our lives when we say yes. But then we see the flip side in verse 10. But repays those who hate him to their faces to destroy them. He will not delay with him who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Because when they say no, God is saying, okay, I'm telling you to do this because it's the best for you. But when we say no, we don't want to, we want it our way, whatever the reason, when we say no and we do not listen to the voice of the Lord, then we walk away from freedom. We walk away from life. We're saying that we would rather a life of bondage, a life where we got to figure it out on our own, where we're left alone and confused and restless. That's what we say. And so those consequences, that's what it is, that they will be destroyed, that they will be caught in that bondage. Verse 11 then, therefore you shall keep the commandment and the statutes and the judgments which I am commanding you today to do them. Then it shall come about, because you listen to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord your God will keep with you his covenant and his loving kindness, which he swore to your forefathers. Then here's this in verse 13. He will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground. In talking about the grain and the new wine and all of these, the herds and the flocks, all of just these possessions. In verse 14, you shall be blessed above all peoples. There will be no male or female barren among you or among your cattle. The Lord will remove from you all sickness, and he will not put on you any of the harmful diseases of Egypt, which you have known, but he will lay them on all who hate you. You shall consume all the peoples whom the Lord your God will deliver to you. Your eyes shall not pity them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. So again, not mixing, not allowing that in to destroy that, to not show pity on that, to say, no, I'm not compromising. There's no excuses. This is what God says, and this is what I'm doing. And all of those blessings, saying he'll multiply us, that he'll bless us above the people. There will be no male or female barren, no one lacking. that no sickness will be put, all sickness will be removed, no diseases will be put on them. I mean, these are crazy blessings. This is God. This is the God, our God, the faithful God, who will keep his covenant and his loving kindness to those who love him, who say yes to him, who choose to obey him. 17, if you should say in your heart, these nations are greater than I, how can I possess them? You shall not be afraid of them. So the Lord says, when you come across something in life that's really big, that's really scary, that just seems greater than you, that seems like an impossibility, he is letting them know. He's saying, you shall not be afraid. So he's telling the Israelites, when you get into this land and you see these people who seem crazy stronger than you, crazy bigger than you, he's saying, you shall not be afraid of them. You shall not be afraid of them. Not, oh, try not to be afraid. You shall not. It's a command. Don't be afraid of them. Trust me. Remember me. Remember, know who I am. You shall not be afraid of them. In verse 18 it says, you shall well remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt. The great trials which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out, so shall the Lord your God do to all the peoples of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet against them until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. You shall not dread them, for the Lord your God is in your midst, a great and awesome God. Guys, if your life is just not going so hot and you don't even have things to remember, that they're not, you just get so bogged down with the suffering and you can't even bring yourself to say, okay, God, I remember when you delivered me in this time. Let me tell you, he has been delivering you. He has delivered you. He has done, and you have blessings in your life that you can go over and over and over and just roll into more and more of his goodness. If you sit down and you think about it, you would be blown away. You would be overwhelmed with all the little things. Our problem is we take so many things for granted. The fact that we have eyes to see and ears to hear him and a heart to understand and just hands to praise, hands to pray, to move, to do things. All those little things, we take them for granted so many times. And we can't. But let me tell you, even if you can't bring yourself to remember a time where the Lord has delivered you and brought you up, we need to go back to even thinking about his word and holding this. This isn't just some story. This is for real. And we can go back to reading what we read in Exodus, how God delivered them, how he brought them up out of Egypt, and understand that the same God then who delivered them from Egypt is the same God who delivers us every day from the things in this world. When we pursue him, when we choose to see that, then we can clearly see him as our deliverer. And he is a deliverer. And it says right there to well remember, it says, you shall well remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt, to remember Egypt and how God delivered, that he is our deliverer. That we need to think, that we need to just rest in him and allow him to bring up those moments, those times that we can hold on to, that we can say, God never failed me. He was with me every second of the way. He was with the Israelites, constantly providing, constantly giving grace, constantly giving second chances, blessing. That provision was just overload. Him just delivering nonstop, choosing them, choosing to spare them, to love them, to bless them in all ways. And we have those moments too, that God never ever failed us in life, and he never ever will, that we can cling and hold to those. God is our deliverer. You shall not dread them. I love verse 21. For the Lord your God is in your midst, a great and awesome God. Love it, love it. Verse 25, the graven images of their gods, so talking about just these other nations and them just trying to persuade us and tempt us and all of these things to stay away, to just clear the nations away, to not be. And the Lord will come and he will drive them away little by little, we read in these verses. But it is a process, and it is a process of growth, and it is a process of building our faith and choosing daily to trust the Lord. That it can't be. Sometimes it's not just cold turkey that the Lord takes something away. Sometimes he wants us to walk with him. He wants our trust in him to be authentic and not just saying, okay, God, do whatever, just so that we can get out of the pain and get out of the difficulty. He wants it to be real. He wants this trust within us to be developed so that he can work in our lives, so that we can be authentic and see whether or not we went out of it, or we just want to know God more. We want to grow closer to him because we believe We believe who he says he is. We believe that there's goodness there and there's freedom there found in the Lord, that we want God, that we want to know him. And that sometimes the process is long. It says that he'll drive them out little by little. That it takes a process. Sometimes authenticity, it takes that process to make sure that it's real, to make sure it's for the right reasons. Because within those right reasons, and from that authenticity, that's where realness of blessings is. That's where the depth of blessings are felt and truly do a change in our life, and not just temporary fix of being freed from pain or freed from difficulty. I would rather years and years and years of pain for it to bring me to this real sense of connection with the Lord than have no pain at all and just live my life my own way and be missing out on the realness of relationship with a holy God, with my God, who is God, the faithful God, who keeps his covenant and his loving kindness to those who love and obey him. Yes, God is faithful. He is our God, and when he commands us to do things, it is his way of saying, I'm bringing you out from this darkness, and I'm bringing you into the light. I'm bringing you into life. May we just hold fast to that truth and continually, constantly, daily be seeking the Lord and trusting that in him and his presence and life with him is where it's at. That's absolutely where freedom is. That's where we can live, move, breathe, have our being in such abundance, such beauty and power. So good. So go through that chapter again. Love it. Again, there's so many verses in that where we can pull out and just seeing the heart of God and who he is, that he is so faithful, and how and why he gives commands to us, that it stems from this desire and just wanting us free and wanting us to know him and wanting us to know life. So good. Thanks so much for walking this out with me. His word is so real. May we not just read it as a story, but read it as, hey, this truly happened. This stuff truly happened. God truly delivered the Israelites. He truly appointed them, chose them, called them out to be set apart, that they were face to face with these difficulties and these opportunities, these situations where they had to choose whether or not they were going to obey God or not, whether or not they were going to drive these nations out or not. And I love the goodness and God, that he doesn't just throw us out into something. He didn't just send them into the land and let them be. He's giving them instructions. He's giving them preparations ahead of time and saying, okay, when you go into this land, this is what I'm going to do to these people, and this is what I expect you to do. And by the way, while you're doing it, be careful. Be careful to observe all of these commandments that I'm giving you. Be careful to remember what I've done, who I am. Be careful not to fear, that you shall not fear, because you're going to remember what I've done, what I'm capable of doing. I love that he's preparing them. I love that he's shaping them. I love that he's giving them opportunities. He gave them an opportunity in Numbers and sending them out in the wilderness to hear. Again, that whole understanding of what Numbers means and this whole speaking and what that translates to, the Hebrew language, where that stems from. That he gave them the opportunity to be in the wilderness, to hear the Lord speaking. All of these words, all of these commandments, and being exposed to all of his holiness in speaking it, in wanting to be with his people and dwell among them, that all this is in for preparation for them when they enter into blessing. You know, it's not being prepared and then getting into blessing and being able to sit and relax and chill and, oh, great, God, you're so good. It's being in blessing and letting our life be sustained and preserved and moved in and rolled over, that God doesn't want us experiencing life for just one day or just one season or just a few years. He wants us living in life and life to the full every second of every day for the rest of our lives until we enter into eternity with him. And therefore experiencing just the beginning of a life for eternity, again, with and in him. So good, so good. God's heart, just the way he prepares, the way he is faithful, the way he speaks, the way he chooses, the way he loves, the way he is who he is. May we just praise him today and really just let that sink in and soak into our hearts, changing us for the absolute best. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I just feel so, God's so good. I just want to linger linger in his word, linger in this truth. But I'm going to let you go and close up with this. So thanks so much for walking this out. I'm growing so much. I'm learning so much. I'm so moved. And I pray that he is moving you and just continuing to work in you and reveal things to you. He is God, the faithful God. May we stand on that truth alone, no matter what we're faced with. May we stand on that. Thanks so much for walking this out with me. Keep walking this out. Keep journeying along through his word, through the power of God's word, and continue to just let him unveil to us. So that's all I got. Leaving you with that. Hope that you see me on my next video. See ya.